Good morning, students. Today in this session we are going to speak about method, motion, time, fatigue and differential piece wage system. So before going to the studies, in the previous class we discussed about functional foremanship and standardization and simplification of work. So under techniques of scientific management you have different concepts like functional foremanship, standardization and simplification of work, method study, motion study, time study and fatigue study. Okay, so we'll go to the concept, that is method study. So the objective of method study is to find out one best way of doing the job. The objective of method study is to find out one best way of doing the job. Okay, so while you do a particular job, there are different methods through which you can do that particular job. Okay, but according to Taylor, he says that there is one best way of doing any job. So under method study, the object of method study or objective of method study is to find out one best way of doing the job. So to determine the best way, there are several parameters. To determine the best way of doing a particular job, there are different parameters or several parameters. So right from the procurement of raw materials, till the final goods are delivered to the customer. So each and every activity is a part of method. Right from procurement of raw materials till the final product is delivered to the customer, every activity is part of method study. Okay, so the objective of this, that is the whole exercise, is to minimize the cost of production and maximize the quality and satisfaction of the customer. Yes, the objective of this whole exercise is to minimize the cost of production and maximize the quality and satisfaction of the customer. So for this purpose, many techniques like process chart and operations research are used. Okay, so in order to reduce the amount of time, or in order to save the time, in order to increase the production, so when you save the time, what happens? The cost of production totally reduces, the quality increases. So there are, like I told you, there are different methods of doing one particular job. Okay, so what you do is, like, you find out one best way of doing a particular job, that is the easiest way of doing a particular job through which you can minimize the cost of production and also maximize the quality of the product. Okay, so Taylor, what it did is he devised the concept of assembly line by using this method. He devised the concept of assembly line by using this method. So for example, for designing a car, the assembly line production would entail deciding the frequency of operation, place of men and materials, etc. So all these are the part of method study. So for designing a car, the assembly line production would entail deciding the sequence of operation. So what is the sequence of operation? So ಯಾವ process ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಅಥವಾ ಯಾವ sequences ಅಲ್ಲಿ production ಅನ್ನು ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಥವಾ ಆಪರೇಟ್ ಆಗಬೇಕು. ಸೊ men, material, machinery ಇದನ್ನ ಯಾವ place ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇಡಬೇಕು, place for men, materials, raw materials, etc. So in the first year I told you about plant layout. So when the plant layout is fixed in a proper manner, or when the plant layout is made in a proper manner, it becomes easy to increase the production of the organization. The next concept is motion study. So motion andre movement study. So Taylor says that with the help of the movement, or by reducing the amount of movement which takes place in the organization, the production of the organization can be increased. Unnecessary works can be totally reduced. So motion study refers to study of movements. Motion study refers to study of movements like lifting, putting objects, sitting, changing positions, etc. So these are undertaken while doing a particular job in the organization. So lifting irbodu, putting objectives irbodu, sitting irbodu, changing positions irbodu. So these are undertaken while doing a typical job in an organization. So these unnecessary movements which happen in the organization can be eliminated. Yes, unnecessary movements can be eliminated so that it takes less time to complete the job efficiently. So when these unnecessary movements are eliminated, it takes very less time to complete a job efficiently. So for this purpose, what Taylor did is, he and his associate Frank Gilbert, yes, they came up with an experimentation where they could reduce the motions in bricklaying. They could reduce the motions in bricklaying from 18 to 5. So first, when they started this experiment, they had to finish the work with 18 steps. Yes, finally by reducing the unwanted steps anna eliminate martha bandu, finally they could finish the same work with just 5 steps. ಬರೀ 5 steps ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನು ಬ್ರಿಕ್ ಲೇಯರಿಂಗ್ ಇದೆ ಅದನ್ನ ಮುಗಿಸಬಹುದಿತ್ತು. ಸೊ ಟೈಲರ್ demonstrated that productivity increased to about 4 times by this process. Yes, he demonstrated that productivity increased. Taylor demonstrated that productivity increased to about 4 times by this process. Okay, so what are the possible find out by Taylor? Yes, what are the possible find out by Taylor? The first one is the motions which are productive in the organization. First one is the motions which are productive in the organization. The second one is the motions which are incidental. The motions which are incidental. First one is the motions which are productive. Second one is motions which are incidental. And the third one is motions which are totally unproductive. So unproductive andre which is not of any use. Second one was motions which are incidental, like going to stores or something, so which are really incidental. And the first one was motions which are productive. So in order to know this, what Taylor did is he used stopwatches and various symbols and colors to identify different motions. So in order to identify different motions, what he did is, one is he used stopwatches, various symbols and colors for different movements, so in order to identify the motion. So through motion study, Taylor was able to design suitable equipments and tools to educate workers on their use. It was able to design suitable equipments and tools to educate workers on their use. Okay, so because of this motion study, he could find a remarkable change in the organization. He could find a remarkable change in the organization. The next one is time study. So it determines, that is the time study determines the standard time taken to perform a well-defined job. So ಯಾವುದೇ ಒಂದು ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಂದ್ರೂ there is a fixed time or a well-defined time for a particular job, or a standard time for any well-defined time. Okay, so time measuring devices were used for each element of task. For each and every element of task, time measuring devices were used. Okay, the standard time is fixed for the whole of the task by taking several readings. So they took the readings for the working and the standard time was fixed. Okay, so like I told you, there is a standard time, or each kind of jobs takes a standard time in order to finish that particular thing. Okay, ಯಾವುದೇ ಒಂದು ಕೆಲಸ ಮುಗಿಸ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೂ ಅದಕ್ಕೊಂದು ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡರ್ಡ್ ಟೈಮ್ ಅಂತ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. Yes, okay, so that has to be identified. So the standard time is fixed for the whole of the task by taking several readings. Okay, the objective of time study is to determine the number of workers to be employed in the organization. The objective of time study is to determine the number of workers to be employed in the organization. So this also will help the organization to frame a suitable incentive schemes and determine labor cost. So what has to be the labor cost? So what are the incentives which has to be given in the organization, as well as the total number of employees who are to be used in the organization, or total number of workers who have to be employed in the organization. So for this, it gives an example. Okay, so on the basis of several observations, on the basis of the survey or several observations, it is determined that standard time taken by the worker to make one cardboard box is 20 minutes. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಒಬ್ಬ ಎಂಪ್ಲಾಯಿಗೆ ಒಂದು ಕಾರ್ಡ್ಬೋರ್ಡ್ ಬಾಕ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನ ಮಾಡಕ್ಕೆ ಎಷ್ಟು ಬೇಕು? 20 minutes ಬೇಕು. ಸೊ it takes 20 minutes to produce one cardboard box. ಸೊ 1 hour ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಎಷ್ಟು ಬಾಕ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನ ಮಾಡಬಹುದು? 20 minutes ಅನ್ನುವಾಗ 60 minutes ಗೆ ಅವ್ರು ಏನು ಮಾಡಬಹುದು? he can produce 3 boxes in 1 hour. 1 ಗಂಟೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಅವನು 3 ಬಾಕ್ಸಸ್ ಅನ್ನ ಪ್ರೊಡ್ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಬಹುದು. ಸೊ ಲೆಟ್ us assume that a worker has to put in 8 hours of work in a shift. Okay, so let us assume that a worker has put in 8 hours of work in a shift and deducting 1 hour for rest and lunch. So 8 hours ಅಲ್ಲಿ 1 hours ಅನ್ನು ನಾವೇನು ಮಾಡೋಣ? ಡಿಡಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡೋಣ. So it becomes 7 hours. Okay, so it becomes 7 hours. Okay, so we'll come to 7 hours. It is determined that in 7 hours a worker makes 21 boxes at 3 boxes per hour. 1 ಗಂಟೆಯಲ್ಲಿ 3 ಅಂತ ಹೇಳುವಾಗ 7 hours ಗೆ 7 into 3 it becomes 21. So 1 day work ಅಲ್ಲಿ 1 employee will produce 21 boxes. Okay, so now this is the standard task a worker has to do. This is the standard task. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಬೆಳಗಿಂದ ಸಾಯಂಕಾಲ ತನಕ ಅಥವಾ 7 hours ಏನು ವರ್ಕಿಂಗ್ ಟೈಮ್ ಇದೆ, ಆ ವರ್ಕಿಂಗ್ ಟೈಮ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಅವನು ಏನು ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ? he will have to produce 21 boxes. Yes, okay, you have to produce 21 boxes. That is ಒಂದು ಬಾಕ್ಸ್ಗೆ 20 minutes ಅಂತೇಳಿ ಫಿಕ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡಿರ್ತಾರೆ. ಎಸ್, ಒಂದು ಬಾಕ್ಸಿಗೆ 20 minutes ಅಂತೇಳಿ ಫಿಕ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡಿರ್ತಾರೆ. ಒಂದು ಡೇ ಅಂದ್ರೆ 7 hours ವರ್ಕ್ ಮಾಡುವಾಗ 8 hours ಅಲ್ಲಿ 1 hour ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಮತ್ತೆ ಲಂಚಿಗೆ ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ದ ರಿಮೈನಿಂಗ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ 7 hours. In 7 hours he will be producing 21 boxes. The next one is fatigue study. Okay, so here in this fatigue study we all know that while we do a particular job continuously, yes, we become tired. Yes, we become tired physically as well as mentally while we do a particular job without taking rest. Okay, so the reason behind taking rest is to increase or regain the stamina of an employee in the organization. The reason for this risk is to regain the stamina and work again with the same capacity. So when he regains the stamina, or when he takes the rest in between, or when he takes an rest interval in between, it regains the stamina and that helps him to work again with same capacity. That helps him to work with same capacity. So this will result in increased productivity. So while an employee is given with rest in between, ಯಾವಾಗ ನಾವು ಕೆಲಸದ ಮಧ್ಯದಲ್ಲಿ ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ತಗೋತೀವಿ ಅವಾಗ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ? ಅವನ ಸ್ಟಾಮಿನಾ ರೀಗೈನ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ, ಇನ್ಕ್ರೀಸ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ, ಅವನ ಪ್ರೊಡಕ್ಟಿವಿಟಿ ಕೂಡ ಇನ್ಕ್ರೀಸ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಈ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ able to work again with the same capacity. This in turn will lead to increased productivity. So fatigue study seeks to determine the amount and frequency of rest intervals. Fatigue study seeks to determine the amount and frequency of rest intervals in completing the task. Clear? Fatigue study seeks to determine the amount of frequency of rest intervals in completing a task. Okay, so normally for example, in a plant work takes place in 3 shifts of 8 hours each. Yes, work takes place in 3 shifts of 8 hours each. Each in a single shift, a worker has to be given some rest interval to take his lunch, yes, or to go for a break. Okay, so if the work involves heavy manual labor, then small pauses have to be frequently given to the worker so that he can recharge his energy level for optimum contribution. He can recharge his energy level for optimum contribution. Okay, so there can be many causes for fatigue. Yes, ಸುಸ್ತಿಗೆ ಅಥವಾ ಫಿಟಿಗ್ಗೆ ಕಾರಣ ತುಂಬಾ ಇರಬಹುದು. One may be long working hours. So when employee in the organization or worker in an organization works for a long hour, then there are chances that he may get tired. Or sometimes there are chances that there are unsuitable working environment. ಅವನ ಏನು ವರ್ಕ್ ಎನ್ವೈರನ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಇದೆ ಅದು ಅನ್ಸೂಟೇಬಲ್ ಇದೆ. ಸೊ ವೆನ್ ದೇರ್ ಆರ್ ನೋ ಕಾರ್ಡಿಯಲ್ ರಿಲೇಶನ್ಶಿಪ್ ವಿತ್ ಬಾಸ್, yes, or the manager, when there is no cordial relationship or a proper good relationship between a worker and the manager or the worker and the boss, then there are chances that the employee will not put his efficiency fully. Okay, so sometimes there are chances that there is a bad working condition. So ಅಲ್ಲಿ working conditions bad ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ಸಿಚುವೇಶನ್ ಕೂಡ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, he will not put his efficiency to the fullest extent. So such hindrances in good performance should be removed. So when you remove these kind of hindrances which are available in the organization, so inta hindrances anna ನಾವು reduce ಮಾಡುವಾಗ ಅವಾಗ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, the efficiency of the organization increases.